proud legacy was born when John Wooden and UCLA squared off against Duke for a national title. Walt Hazzard and Jeff Mullins were two of the marquee attractions. But on that day, no star shined brighter than Gail Goodrich, whose 27 points propelled the undersized Bruins to their first of 10 national championships. And beneath the tall shadow of history, they meet again tonight. The poised and disciplined Blue Devils, under the leadership of Mike Krzyzewski, adhere to a gritty work ethic that has become a cherished trademark. They are no strangers to tournament pressure, and after surviving a second-round scare, Duke's road back to glory must cross through Jim Harrick and the unheralded Bruins, a team looked upon with modest expectations, whose stunning upset against powerful Kansas has rekindled the flames of past heroics and fanned the flames for future conquests. And welcome back to the Eastern Regional Semifinal from the Meadowlands in Jersey City, in New Jersey and East Rutherford, across the river from New York. A sellout crowd saw Connecticut with an improbable last-second buzzer beater by Tate George win the opener over Clemson. They'll play the winner of the game coming up now between Duke and UCLA. It's a golden oldie matchup of the 1960s. Duke against UCLA. Hello again, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton. UCLA has the greatest reputation in this championship tournament. They may be back now. They are the farthest they've reached in the last 10 years. Duke, meanwhile, back to the familiar floor, East Rutherford, where they have gone to the Final Four 3 of the last 4 years. Hubie Brown, if UCLA plays as well tonight as they did against Kansas in round 2, what will that mean for the Duke Blue Devils?
Well, they were extremely quick and denied the front court play of Kansas with a man-to-man in a terrific 2-3 zone. The key to all this is Trevor Wilson. He's an explosion. He's one of the quickest forwards ever to play at UCLA. He's not only a rebounder, but also a great scorer. Been rewarded by making the All-Pac-10 team 3 years in a row.
Now, Duke is back here where they like to play, and it's a homecoming. Ala Abdelnaby from Bloomfield, New Jersey, is the inside man. And Bobby Hurley, the freshman guard from Jersey City, New Jersey, a big game for him as well.
Yeah, and a lot of pressure on him to get the basketball up the floor and then get it into the power game. But tonight, there's a guy at the other end at UCLA called Derek Martin, and he was sensational in Atlanta. Quick hands, quick feet, and has a tendency to turn you over in the backcourt.
Well, Duke is the favorite in this game, but UCLA surprised Kansas. We'll see what happens. Back for the introductions of the lineups after this.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship Regional Semifinal game from East Rutherford, New Jersey is sponsored by today's Chevrolet, who invite you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. AT&T, the right choice. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when.
Back here at the Meadowlands Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey, Duke against UCLA. Now for the starting lineup, our public address announcer, Dom Elagio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Meadowlands Arena for tonight's East Regional Semifinal game between the UCLA Bruins and the Duke Blue Devils.
For the second half of the semifinal, the officials, Jody Sylvester, John Koskinen, and Sonny Holmes. Sylvester from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Koskinen out of Philadelphia. Holmes from Forest City, Arkansas. Controlled by Duke. Ala Abdelnaby with the first shot of the game, and the Bloomfield senior hit.
He's been on a roll as of late, looking to score. Excellent facing the basket, and then in the low post, a nice jump hook.
Derek Martin and Gerald Matkins, the guards. McLean, number 42. Henderson is guarding Matkins. Here's McLean, and the basket counts in a foul. He's the leading scorer, is Don McLean, but has been struggling offensively in this tournament.
They need a big game out of McLean and Trevor Wilson. An excellent pair of front court performers who, during the course of the year, have been there game in and game out.
Foul is on Ala Abdelnaby. UCLA has won 6 of its last 7. Their only loss to Arizona. Duke winning 2 after losing 4 of their last 6. Bobby Hurley.
Main thing for UCLA, Duke is running a passing game. Big thing is don't get beat off the dribble.
Abdelnaby goes in too far under, and here comes UCLA. Derek Martin, sophomore, and it's laid in by Tracy Murray. He was the guy who hit the winning free throw with 9 seconds to go to beat Kansas.
What a great catch that was. That was down around his shoelaces.
Hurley tries to get it to Laettner. It's still Duke ball. Jim Harrick, the head coach in his second year after years at Pepperdine. Arkansas, for the first time, gets to the Final 8 since '79 with a convincing victory over Carolina. Laettner. Talk about a guy who's been struggling offensively. Christian Laettner has in a big way lately.
That was an excellent lob pass. They know that UCLA will be in a 2-3 zone on all out-of-bounds plays on the baseline.
There's a good matchup. Bricky and Trevor Wilson. UCLA still has the ball.
Coach K from Duke, very sound, thinking that the way you get here is rebounding and defense, and that's the way you move on. He's very high on their tenacious defense.
Here's Trevor Wilson. Derek Martin misses outside, the rebound by Laettner.
Both teams like to push the basketball. They love to play in the high 80s.
Laettner misses from outside, but Abdelnaby converts. Second basket for Ala Abdelnaby. That name translates as servant of the prophet. That's what Abdelnaby means. Muslim.
Well, he's been playing big in the last 3 ball games.
Matkins inside bodies and posted up well against Henderson.
Well, one thing you cannot do when you guard UCLA is fall asleep on any cutters. They have excellent quickness and extremely quick jumping ability.
Abdelnaby working on Murray, and the rebound by McLean, and a foul called against UCLA. We want to tell our viewers, the audience, expecting the Texas Longhorns and Xavier Musketeers in the other Midwest regional semifinal in Dallas. They'll be leaving us shortly, but they'll be kept up to date with the progress of this game. Wilson committing the foul. Henderson from the corner with a 3, misses. McLean the rebound.
Look up.
There is Wilson. Bricky trying to defend, and Trevor Wilson beats him down court.
That's UCLA at their best. You cannot fall asleep. They're extremely quick, and Wilson, even though he's underneath rebounding, will always fill that outside lane.
Wilson and Bricky will be a big matchup tonight. Laettner in and out on the baseline. Duke still controls. Abdelnaby, basket counts and a foul. Ala Abdelnaby did not play well here a year ago, but he's off to a brilliant start.
Now watch this long pass. The athletic ability right here. Look at that catch. Not only catch it, but then the presence to keep it that he could convert it into a quick score.
Wilson with the fast break release. Tracy Murray commits the foul, and Abdelnaby, no question that Mike Krzyzewski wants to work on Murray, who's playing out of position, a forward playing center for UCLA.
Well, he's a small 6'7", and he's going against Ala, and Ala is really playing excellent power basketball these days, playing with a lot of confidence.
Murray short, gets his own rebound. And Hurley came running in, and they'll call the Duke Blue Devils with a foul. It'll be their second team foul, and it'll be Hurley's first.
Now, for our fans who have not seen UCLA play this year, Tracy Murray is the center at 6'7", but he is an outstanding three-point shooter. He has the mark for 1 year as a high school player with 125 in the state of California.
Ooh. Mighty prolific numbers. Laettner really guarding McLean tightly. Matkins behind to Martin. Plenty of time. Martin goes in. And the rebound by Robert Bricky. Bricky's had a terrific tournament thus far, and Henderson misses Wilson. Here comes UCLA. There's Trevor Wilson off the bank. Trevor Wilson, Roy Williams of Kansas said he may be the fastest player his size in America, baseline to baseline.
Hey, now we're going to resurrect some old-timers. Sam Jones from the Celtics down the side off the glass. I mean, I haven't seen this in a long time, and he loves that shot, Trevor Wilson.
Robert Brickey, and Henderson comes up for the rebound and loses it to Wilson. Wilson can handle the ball, and a blocking foul will be called against Brickey of the Blue Devils, his first.
Now watch, here he comes down in here. See, he's excellent at pulling up without putting it down and banking that shot in. That looks difficult, but all the great shooters know how to play the glass at that angle from 15 feet.
That was Trevor Wilson. He suffered an injured wrist during the year, and UCLA lost 5 games when he did against USC. Leitner called for the foul. McLean too quick trying to go. Foul.
Already, UCLA, 5 fast break opportunities, 8 points.
Later on, Xavier in Texas, and that audience will be leaving us shortly. They'll be kept up to date on what happens here at East Rutherford between Duke and UCLA. Murray inbounding. Wilson misses the shot in close. Abdelnaby with the rebound. These teams have not met since 1966. UCLA has won 4 of the 6 previous meetings, including the '64 national championship game. Here's Phil Henderson coming around a screen. Leitner with a good offensive rebound and tips in. Very aggressive is Leitner coming out here in the first half.
Well, this is where Duke has a major plus, and that is in size and strength inside. They must continue to hit the offensive glass and get the easy baskets.
Wilson high post working against Brickey. Derek Martin in the lane. Here's Abdelnaby with another rebound, and Duke trying to break the tie. Wilson giving Brickey the outside shot. He's more effective inside. Hurley with a step on Martin, beats him nicely.
Oh, he can do that. You can't let him dribble to his right, because when he goes right down into the lane area, he'll go for the shot.
Duke by 2. Running off the high post, McLean. Trevor Wilson with Leitner in his face. And Leitner the rebound. Leitner is playing superbly at both ends here with about 5 minutes going by in this first half.
He's having a difficult time breathing right now. He just called over to Coach K to take him out. He's had a nasal problem, and it has been under medication in the last month.
Wide open is Brickey in the corner. UCLA will try to give him the outside shot, and a foul against Duke inside. And we'll have substitutions coming in. 3 new players for the Blue Devils and 2 for the Bruins. Leitner picks up his second personal foul. Greg Kubek, Brian Davis, and Thomas Hill have all come in for Duke. Kevin Walker, a 6'10 senior who started the year at center for UCLA, has come in. And traveling call turns it over to Duke. New Jersey. It's Duke and UCLA in the Eastern Regional. The winner of this game will face Connecticut on Saturday for the right to go to the Final Four.
Now UCLA in a 2-3 zone, and they are very, very quick.
Henderson's shot is missed, and a push inside against UCLA. Against Duke, already the Blue Devils have committed 16 fouls. And the Bruins will be in the bonus with the next Duke foul.
All right, Duke now for the second time in a row will be in a 2-2-1. This is something which Coach K put in over the last 3-week period. And it just caused a turnover with Walker on the previous play.
They're calling fouls very tight here at the beginning, and Duke now has committed its 17th foul. It's Phil Henderson, and so the 1-and-1 is in effect. Mike Krzyzewski not at all happy with the officiating thus far.
Well, he's not happy because he's looking for incidental contact there, because he wants to man pressure. Also, to change things up, he wants contact.
Here's Matkins. Here's a sophomore, misses the front end, and there's McLean. Hill fighting out of bounds. It's still UCLA ball. Mitchell Butler, a 6'5 freshman from Inglewood, is in the game for UCLA. We'll have Walker inbounds. He's 6'10", but he too is a good three-point shooter.
It just seems the bigger you are here, the more liberties you have to take a three-point shot. I'm holding, baby.
UCLA already into the bonus. A little more than 6 minutes into this game. Walker banks it in. Kevin Walker started the first 11 games. Jim Harrick likes his experience in this game against Duke.
Well, he said he'd get more playing time because they need a size in there.
Hurley throws it through a crowd, and it's going to be Duke's ball. Christian LAETTNER back into the game, replacing Greg Kubek.
With Mitchell Butler and Matkins back there in the top of that zone, they're 6'3" and 6'5", and they do an excellent job on guard penetration. Quick hands.
Henderson hits a three-pointer. Bill Henderson averaging 18 a game. And Duke leads at 16-13.
Well, he's their #1 three-point shooter. He's attempted 153 already this year.
Trevor Wilson and trying to save it as Butler. He can't. They turn it away. If you missed this game, it was a gem. One for the memory. Connecticut 71-70. Tate George of Newark, New Jersey hit the basket at the buzzer. 1 second to go. Connecticut threw it in from under their own basket.
Don't hold, don't hold.
Winner of this game will face the Huskies Saturday.
An excellent matchup. Matkins on Henderson. Matkins being their defensive stopper.
LAETTNER calling for the ball. Now fronting him is Kevin Walker. There's the lob pass into LAETTNER from Hill. Too short, and here comes Trevor Wilson. And Wilson is fouled. And continually, whoever it is, whether it's Bricky or Davis, they're going to have to watch Wilson downfield.
See, this is what UCLA does well. Watch how Walker plays him on the top side. The ball goes back to the top of the circle. See, he fronts. Now, when that, here comes, right, McLean from the opposite side. Yeah, you have to admire the foot quickness and the rotation of the people in the back of the UCLA, whether they're playing man or zone.
Ryan Davis with a second foul. Ala Abdelnabi and Robert Bricky both into the game. Derek Martin checks in for UCLA, along with Tracy Murray.
See, as you watch this ball game today, UCLA, very, very clever in the open floor. They have a number of guys who can end the break. And by that I mean not just score the layups or the open jumpers, but they get fouled going to the basket.
12:19 remaining in the first half. Duke leading 16-15. UCLA had an early three-point lead. Duke also established that same margin. Early against Martin. Good bounce pass to Christian LAETTNER, and LAETTNER off to a terrific start. Has 6 points for Duke.
Well, they're knocking off Derek Martin with outside high pick so that Hurley can get loose to make the plays.
LAETTNER got a hand on it, and they're going to call traveling, or is it a foul against Duke?
That's a foul. Now you'll see the penetration by Hurley. Watch the bounce pass, the nice catch, and then no dribble, almost the pass.
Hurley committing a second foul. Bill McCaffrey, 6'3" freshman from Allentown, has come into the game, destined to be a starter next year. Good shooter. Here's Walker shooting the 1-and-1. LAETTNER the rebound. Duke by 3. McCaffrey pulls up, and the UCLA foul will be against Mitchell Butler, and that'll send McCaffrey, good-looking freshman, to the free throw line.
Now McCaffrey is an outstanding offensive player. He came out of high school, an all-stater out of Pennsylvania, and he's looking for the shot all the time. And you just can't gamble on him, because if you do, he'll make you pay.
Duke is an excellent free throw shooting team. Can hardly find a weak spot there.
4 guys on this ball club shooting over 80, and the man on the foul line right now is one of them. Thank you.
Misses the second one. We won't take the blame. Martin going in 2-on-1 to Murray, but traveling as Martin waited a little too long to give it up.
Martin's got a lot. He's a real quick spinner out there, and he really has some beautiful moves to the basket.
In the
80s, Honda became known.
It's been a tough week for Bobby Hurley. He came to practice yesterday after attending the funeral of his ex-junior high school coach who died of a heart attack last week at the age of 32. His name was Richard Barrett. He was very close to him, and he dedicated last Sunday's game to Barrett. So he's had a lot on his mind. Hurley goes in strong, and a blocking foul called against UCLA, maybe against Kevin Walker.
Well, UCLA right now is off the bench. They want the charge right now, Dick. They do not feel that they were out of position on that call.
So Hurley is on the line, and here's a freshman who's got to run a team in the tournament and now has that burden.
Well, Richie Barrett is, you know, a very successful grammar school coach, coached Bobby and also his younger brother, and they moved on to St. Anthony's High School, where Bob Hurley Sr. is the coach. And the younger brother was the star, along with a fellow by the name of Rhodes, of this year's team that won a state championship. Richie Barrett, very close to Bobby, was always taking him around and getting him to places where he could play a lot of basketball in the summertime in AAU games.
Biggest lead of the game for Duke, off the board. Kept in there by UCLA. Trevor Wilson has replaced Don McLean in the lineup. Wilson with 6 is the Bruins' high scorer. Abdel Nabi tops Duke with 7. To go in the first half. Here's Murray at the baseline, and Abdel Nabi gets the rebound and is fouled. That'll be the 15th foul against UCLA and the second against Mitchell Butler.
The Duke's very happy right now. They feel that they're aggressive man-to-man. You know, Coach K made the statement that he feels that year in and year out, UNLV and themselves play the type of defense that can get you, you know, down there to the Final Four. They feel that today they're going to put as good, if not better, pressure on UCLA than they've had all year. Only time will tell.
Hurley leaves the game. Phil Henderson replaces him. McCaffrey shot knocked out of bounds, and they are going to call a foul on the Bruins. It'll be team foul number 6. UCLA was hot early, but they have cooled off lately. Foul is on Wilson, his second personal.
Team foul number 6.
Henderson working against Butler. Henderson with a 3, a second one. All of his points have come on 3-point shots.
Like Krzyzewski says, he's our guy. He's the one that can get us going. He not only hits the threes, he's excellent off the dribble. And at the end of the game, he'll be the guy with the basketball.
I guess calling his teammates a bunch of babies really woke him up last week. Trevor Wilson banging the boards out of bounds. It's still UCLA's ball, and right now Duke is on an 8-0 run, leading by 9.
The UCLA, they're getting excellent shots at the basket. The ball is just rimming on them right now.
Trying to keep the ball from going out of bounds, and doing a good job of it is Derek Martin. Ball McCaffrey with a kickball. Brian Davis checks back in. There's Henderson. Last week, normally not a vocal leader on the team, lashed out a little bit at his teammates who were kind of receptive to his criticisms, and they responded with 2 big wins.
Well, you know, the coach said, listen, that wasn't so bad. You know, we have a mature team, and they can handle that. You know, he's a senior here, and he steps forward and wants to be counted.
McLean with a great pass from Wilson with the basket and the foul. UCLA coming back.
As this game progresses, UCLA's front court people, McLean, Wilson, and Murray, will continually change directions on you, and you cannot lose your man. Duke has a tendency up front to turn their head as the game moves on and give up a lot of easy scores.
Greg Kubek committing the foul. Nearly tipped in for a basket. McLean misses the free throw. 7-point lead for Duke.
That's the story of this half, though, Dick. Nothing will fall right now.
And they go back to UCLA's possession. And coming back in is Gerald Matkins. Atkins back in. Butler leaves for the Bruins. UCLA started off at 16-4 this year before that 5-game losing streak when Wilson hurt his wrist. Then they've been hot. And they'll call the foul on Kubek. McLean. Kubek doesn't like the call.
He's a quick shooter, Dick. Anytime that he catches the ball at the high post, you must be concerned, because as soon as he pivots, if you're stepping back from him, he's taking that jump shot right in your face.
Robert Brickey and Bobby Hurley come in for Kubek and McCaffrey. So Mike Krzyzewski has most of his starters back in there now.
Correction, 1+1.
McLean, averaging 20 a game, has scored 10 points in each of the first 2 tournament games, but he has made his mark defensively inside for UCLA.
The thing that Coach Harrick really enjoyed about him is that he didn't try to force any shots in the 2 games down in Atlanta. He played within the system and let other people get their shot opportunities.
Henderson coming around a screen. Leitner with the offensive rebound. Christian Leitner now has 8 points. That's more than he scored in the last game. He's St. John.
Very active today, Dick. But like we say, anytime he and Abdel Nabi are in there, they have such a height advantage.
Matkins decided not to shoot at the last moment, try to pass it to McLean. Now the Bruins get it right back, and they're going to call Hurley. Last touch by Duke.
Now keep an eye on Christian Leitner at the foul line. He'll be coming right down the middle on this shot. See a little bump, and there he is. He's right up, and nice strong move. Did not take the ball down. Here we have Duke in there, 3/4 court trap again. Just giving you another look.
Matkins is pretty strong. Feeds McLean, and a beautiful beat the trap right down the middle.
That's the way to take it. Get it into the middle, make your move, and then drop it off for the layup. You know, this UCLA team, you know, out on the floor, they have 1 freshman and 3 sophomores playing. It's a young basketball team.
Robert Brickey nowhere to go. Trevor Wilson has done a great job on Brickey, who has been shut out so far. Hurley in the lane, and they'll call the foul against Derek Martin. It'll be Martin's first foul. Dallas, they're underway. The Longhorns of Tommy Penders beat Gillen Xavier Musketeers in the first half. Thomas Hill, the freshman from Lancaster, Texas, replaces Davis. And Ala Abdel Nabi also checks in as Christian Leitner gets another breather. Leitner leads the Blue Devils with 8. Lean with 9, tops UCLA.
Bobby Hurley, not only the #1 assist player on this ball club, but also leads the team in minutes played for a point guard and a freshman. You know, really quite a feat.
And he set the school record for assists, and they've had some outstanding playmakers. Tommy Amaker had held the record. Hurley, of course, had to face comparisons against Kenny Anderson of Georgia Tech all year. Missed the second free throw. Duke still has it. Bill Henderson lost his man and hits the shot. Atkins went by, and Bill Henderson now with 8 points.
See, he's a scorer. Yeah, he's always looking for that shot.
Traveling, called against UCLA. So Duke leading by 8 points. 7:44 remaining in the first, held by UCLA, and Jim Harrick trying to get them back to something of what they used to be. I don't think anyone will ever match the John Wooden team. Wilson almost lost control. Off the board, Hurley. Little helter-skelter basketball. Inside to Brickey. And the first points of the game by Robert Brickey.
Brickey's the garbage man, Dick. He's the guy that gets out there on the fast break. And then, you know, he's just looking for loose balls. He's everywhere.
There's a loose ball. And now Hurley brings it up. 10-point lead for Duke, their biggest. Only 7 minutes remaining in the first half. Henderson, he's hit a couple of threes already. Rebound McLean.
In the early going right now, the Duke defense has been at its pinnacle. I think that they are doing an excellent job. The pressure has been sensational.
McLean misses the rebound by Abdelnaby. Last 4 possessions, they've managed only 1 shot, have turned it over 3 times. And they missed that shot. Abdelnaby trying to take advantage of Murray, went in, and traveling call. Well, maybe that's why it was nice. That was a good move.
Excellent head fake, shoulder fake, and as he stepped through, you know, Abdelnaby is looking at the referee, and he's saying that, hey, I can lift my pivot foot as long as I shoot or pass. You know, Coach Krzyzewski off the bench also.
Zan Mason, a 6'7" freshman from Los Angeles, who figures big next year, has come in now. He has not played in any of the tournament games so far. Putting up the shot was Gerald Matkins, and he was hit, and he'll shoot 2.
What I like about the UCLA attack, every time that Duke is in the 2-2-1 at 3/4, they are doing a very good job at getting it up, getting it to the middle, and attacking, and making them pay for being in this, because this press is not their strength.
This has been a lucky court for the Duke Blue Devils here at East Rutherford. You know, they've reached the Final Four 3 of the last 4 years, all coming on this court, trying to make it 4 out of 5 years. Matkins hits the front end. So UCLA has Matkins and Martin in there, along with Zan Mason, the freshman. McLean and Wilson, the other 2. Krzyzewski with Bricky, Leitner, Hurley, McCaffrey, and Thomas Hill. Missed the second. McLean with the rebound. McLean the rebound again after Wilson kept it alive, and pounding the boards for the big duo of Trevor Wilson and Don McLean, who now has 11. 6 minutes to go in the first half. Bricky gets past his man, Zan Mason.
There was a mix-up defensively that time. They let him get away.
Duke by 9. Bricky looking for the steal, makes it, and taken back quickly by Martin. Hill is trying to deny against Trevor Wilson. And a foul against UCLA. It'll be against the freshman Mason.
Now you see Bricky will come right down the middle here. See, there was a question about who was guarding him that time, because Trevor Wilson was up front picking up another guy's man. That was a little breakdown in communication.
Brian Davis and Ala Abdelnaby check in for Duke. Christian Leitner as well as Abdelnaby have done a terrific job off the board so far. Here's Leitner, who has scored 8 points and has 6 rebounds. Thing with Leitner is that he's had a tendency to get down on himself when something doesn't go right, and affects him in ensuing plays up and down the court, and it's hurt his offense.
Well, they're talking to the coaching staff. They said he gets easily distracted, and when he gets distracted, he'll shoot, and if he misses, he doesn't follow his shots. So they had to take him aside and get him focused. He's a terrific young man. He's got a great IQ for the game, but he takes everything, you know, to heart anytime that he makes a negative move.
Leitner with 10. The lead is 11, 35-24. Under 5.5 to play in the opening half. Duke trying to advance.
See, Duke is tough on the dribbler. When you pick up the basketball, they're right in your face. So what they're doing now is that allows the people up front to front the guys and make the passing difficult.
Keith Owens, 6'8" junior, has come in for UCLA, and Trevor Wilson draws the foul. Both teams are in the bonus and have been for quite a while.
Well, that was an example of Trevor Wilson's quickness. Once he catches the basketball, he's so quick, he explodes to the basket.
Ala Abdelnaby has picked up his 3rd personal foul and goes to the bench, replaced by Robert Bricky. And Phil Henderson replaces McCaffrey. Mike Krzyzewski continues to shuttle in. 9 players in this game.
Well, they try to wear you down. They're looking to pick up that defensive intensity that they had for like 80% of the season. It fell off in the last 6 games. They played some close games, but lost them all. Since the tournament has come about, they feel that there's been a resurgence.
Wilson with the free throws. So McLean and Wilson have a total of 19 between them of UCLA's 26 points. Hurley feeds Davis on the baseline. Brian Davis. Duke has hit its last 5 shots.
Well, there's confusion right now with UCLA about what kind of a defense they're in.
McLean stops at the baseline. Leitner coming out like a man possessed in the first half tonight.
Bobby Hurley, yes.
Traveling call.
You'll see this move now. Strong move by McLean. Now watch Leitner come right in here. Tough rebound. See, Bobby Hurley to me is having an outstanding half. He's definitely dictating the tempo of this game.
On the give and go, a blocking foul. And it'll be called against Davis. What is it, Henderson?
What did Mike say yesterday? Here he is. He's looking like the choir boy. Look at him. He said, we're going to test the referees at UCLA on the charge block off.
Put it to good use.
You'll see the movement. He was moving that time.
Ryan Davis with his 3rd personal foul. So Duke has 2 players with 3 fouls. Abdelnaby and Davis.
But any time that you're a defensive coach, you're always trying. No matter what, you want every call.
Schooled under Bobby Knight at West Point originally. That's when where the first 2 got together.
Mike was an outstanding scorer for West Point, and then later came back after he served 5 years in the service and became their head coach.
Atkins with the free throw. 4:23 to go in the first half. 37-28. Dick Stockton and Hubie Brown here at the Meadowlands. The winner of this game will face Connecticut Saturday, the Eastern Regional Final. See if Martin was pushing Hurley, and they'll call him. Or is it away from the ball? It's on Owens.
UCLA normally does not get in those ticky-tack fouls on post people because they front the individual that's posting up. And when you do that, you get away with more contact than if you play behind the guy.
Heath Owens started 3 games this year for UCLA. Leitner hits the free throw. Jim Harrick, coach for many years at Pepperdine, was once an assistant coach under Gary Cunningham, one of the coaches who succeeded John Wood. Going out of the game now is Owens, and Tracy Murray replaces him. Leitner now with 12. There's Bobby Hurley getting a breather.
Now Duke giving you another look. Full court, man-to-man pressure. Trying to lengthen the passing lanes, get you to pick up the dribble.
Wilson gives it up to Matkins. And Matkins hits the 3. He is the best 3-point shooter on the team, and his only points came on a 3 against Kansas Sunday.
And what a big 3, because it happened with 1 minute left in the game. Now he can make that shot. Coach Harrick would like to see him shoot more often.
Leitner on a fine feed from Brian Davis.
See, Duke doing a terrific job in completing the lob pass anytime UCLA fronts the postman.
Caffrey out to defend against Martin. McLean moves in against Davis. Shot doesn't drop. Rebound by Bricky. And a foul against UCLA. They're really out of sync right now, the Bruins, as they trail by 10 with 3:21 left. We're at the Meadowlands Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Dick Stockton and Hubie Brown. Duke leads this one by 10. UCLA struggling from the field. Duke dominating the boards. And the leading scorers are MACLEAN and LAETTNER. Earlier tonight, Connecticut defeated Clemson in an incredible finish on a basket with 1 second remaining. Connecticut had to go to the length of the floor with 1 second, and Tate George hit the jumper to beat the Tigers. Tracy Murray with only his second basket. 3 minutes to go, and it's a 41-33 lead for Duke. McCaffrey filling the lane nicely. LAETTNER fed him a good pass.
Oh, they have numbers.
3-on-2 right now. Murray trying to get his own rebound. MACLEAN winds up with the ball, and MACLEAN scores. He's got 13.
That's such a quick release off the bounce, Dick. And we can't say this enough. And that is that anytime UCLA gets the basketball, they're so quick in changing ends that you must pay total attention to them.
Henderson off the screen. MACLEAN the rebound, and here's a 3-on-2 break, 4-on-2, and going in with the shot is Martin, and now it's a 41-37 game.
See, they've been getting excellent shots at the basket. The ball just has not been falling for them, but they have never stopped guarding and hustling.
Scott Burrell's desperation pass hit Tate George, who hit the basket, and Connecticut won. Remember, the game is over when the horn sounds and not when the clock hits 00.
There was no question at the scorer's table or by the deep referee. Yeah, that was a good shot.
So Connecticut moves to the regional final. Meanwhile, to play the winner here, UCLA on a 9-2 run has cut Duke's lead to 4. And they'll call UCLA with the foul. Matkins with 2:02 to go. That's his first. The other final in the Midwest Regional, it was Arkansas moving to the Final 8 for the first time since 1979, beating North Carolina handily.
See, both of these teams are so quick at doubling back on anyone who is dribbling the basketball, and they're constantly going for your hand. Now, in the first half, all of the ticky-tack stuff has been called. It'll be interesting to see if it continues in the second half.
Henderson looking for his 10th point of the game. And he's got it. Xavier and Texas locked in a first half duel in Dallas. Martin throws up an air ball, and LAETTNER comes down with it, and here's a 3-on-2 opportunity, and HURLEY hits Henderson perfectly with the fast break.
I like HURLEY's decisions tonight. He's really pushing the ball hard, and he doesn't have outstanding quickness, but he's smart. He's smart with the ball.
Murray tries to get it inside to Matkins. It's called Duke foul.
Here you'll see the pitch out. They're constantly looking for for HURLEY. And there you see, good finisher. Excellent choice, Henderson. Not only can he finish for you, he's also an 82% foul shooter in case he gets fouled.
Hill committing the foul, and here is Gerald Matkins shooting 1-1. He missed all of last year with a very tough injury. He had an excruciating 6-month recovery from a serious moped accident. He hit a moving car head-on back in July of '88, suffered a fractured pelvis, torn muscles, 2 operations, a metal plate and 2 pins. It's amazing that he ever came back to play, much less walking.
And then for him to be their defensive stopper along with that.
8 only 1, and last touch by the Bruins, it'll be Duke ball with 1:23 remaining in the first half. Duke's biggest lead was 11.
See, Duke continues to pick Derek Martin off in the backcourt and also at the top of the circle, relieving the pressure on HURLEY as he's dribbling the basketball.
There's LAETTNER from HURLEY. They've done that a few times tonight, and Christian Leitner with 16 points is the game high score.
See, you can't do that if you have another offensive player on the low box on the other side of the lane. But they don't. They bring them up high, and that makes that easy catch equal a layup.
Matkins. Leitner clears it. Now, Duke can play for the last shot and can match their biggest lead if they score.
They're spreading out the floor now, and they have Christian Leitner up high at the foul line area. Big thing here is you do not want a player away from the ball to backdoor you if you're the defensive guy for a layup.
Hurley in and out, batted out by Leitner, and they'll call the foul on Chris. That'll be his second.
Now you'll see that Duke is in a passing game right here now. There's your lob. You see him call and hold off McLean. That was beautiful. See, because it's two guys working together. The passer and the receiver, but the receiver must hold the defensive man off.
Already a terrific game for Christian Leitner, who will go to the bench with a second personal foul, 16 points and 9 rebounds. Kubek replaces him.
Were we worrying about Christian yesterday by saying, hey, you know, he played an entire game on Sunday without a field goal, probably the first time since he was at grammar school.
He came back. Hurley's come back with a little adversity on the personal side this week.
Ooh, plenty of time.
Missed the one-on-one. Henderson didn't have control. Gets it back. It won't count if it goes, and that is the end of the first half with the score. Duke 47 and UCLA 38. CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship Regional Semifinal game from East Rutherford, New Jersey is sponsored by IBM. Whatever your size, whatever your needs, IBM is working to bring you the best solutions. Levi's 505 and 506 jeans. And by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer, we build excitement.
From the Meadowlands, Duke up 9 over UCLA. Christian Leitner, who was 0 for 9 from the floor versus St. John's on Sunday, has hit his last 5 shots, has 16 points to lead the Blue Devils at the half. Jim Nantz along with Mike Francesa here in New York. What an exciting night it has been already. Now, there is another game hot right now in the first half. That is Xavier and Texas. It's a 5-point lead for the Musketeers with about 7 minutes before halftime. And we'll be showing you live action there momentarily. Now, the winner of that game will be taking on Arkansas Saturday for the Midwest Regional Championship. Arkansas outscored North Carolina the final 10 minutes, 42-19. The game had been tied 54 all with 10 minutes to go, and then the Hogs ran away with it the rest of the way. All right, the thriller, the triumph tonight by Connecticut. Some thought it might be controversial. We'll try to square it away for you. Let's show you what happened. Clemson leading by 1, only 1 second left. And here's our Dick Stockton with the game's final call.
Here goes the long pass with 1 second to go. The shot. Yes! The shot's going to count. The shot by Tate George wins it.
A stunned Eldon Campbell of Clemson as Tate George hit the shot to win it for Connecticut. Mike, let's talk about the rules. Officially, when is a game over?
The game's not over. Don't watch the clock. Don't watch the light above the basket. The game is over when the horn sounds.
All right, folks, what we're going to do now, we're going to delete the play-by-play call. Listen closely for the buzzer on the game's final play. Clearly there, it appeared the buzzer went off in midair on the shot. We have been flooded with phone calls tonight, especially from the Carolina area. And one more time, just to convince everyone that this was a clean victory by Connecticut. Again, listen up. So UConn, the 1 seed in the East, moves on to the regional final to take on the Duke UCLA winner. And Mike, you made an excellent point about the end of this game and the man who inbounded the ball for the Huskies?
Well, freshman Scott Burrell, Jim, is a guy who was such a good baseball player, a pitcher, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, first-round draft pick, Seattle Mariners. He threw a strike on that play. That pass, big part of that play, then the shot by Tate George.
All right, let's take a look now at the brackets, Mike, after that victory by UConn tonight. Connecticut, again, will take on the Duke-UCLA winner. And remember, the East Midwest winners will meet at the Final Four. Conversely, the Southeast regional champion and the West will meet in the Final Four. Meanwhile, it's Arkansas waiting the Xavier-Texas winner. That's a 39-30 game right now before the half. The Musketeers leading over the Longhorns. And let's go to Dallas right now for a live update on this game with James Brown and Bill Raftery, who are calling the action from Reunion Arena.
Welcome to those of you who are watching the Duke-UCLA contest here in Dallas's Reunion Arena. It's Texas and Xavier doing battle, and Xavier has moved out to a 9-point lead for 5:33, and there is Oliver Miller, the big fella from the first game who helped to power Arkansas convincingly past North Carolina into the Final 8. And the Arkansas squad will play the winner of this game between Texas and Xavier. Xavier in the dark uniform, make that the white uniform. Texas in the dark uniforms.
Brantley with the little tag. I'm impressed with Mays the more I see him. Both last week in tape and game, and this week. The explosiveness of the first. He's got a little bounce, as I mentioned. He's got that way of rocking you, breaking you down, and then going by.
Now, I mentioned before the co-player of the year in the Southwest Conference, Travis Mays, as we take a look at Colin Parker coming in to replace Maurice Brantley. What do you think about Mays as far as pro potential?
Well, listening to the people here, and there are a few, they're very impressed. The range, the running ability. We've seen him give the basketball up a few times, too.
No question about his scoring ability. Xavier shooting 58% from the floor. Xavier enjoying the lead right now by 8. And it's been the inside combination of Xavier, Hill, and Strong that's done most of the damage. Strong 11 points, 7 rebounds.
Very simple play, the high-low. Nice play by Dudek. Read it, switched, and stepped into the passing lane.
Blanks. Over to Dudek. Pump fake. And the travel before the shot on Hank Dudek.
He's giving them a good spark, though.
All right, folks, so Xavier leads there, and we can promise you this. After the conclusion of UCLA-Duke, we'll get you back for the live finish of Texas and Xavier from Dallas. Now, in women's tournament action, tonight, Tennessee moved on to the Final 8 with a victory over Clemson. Next up will be Virginia, the 6-point win against Providence. Washington on to the Final 8 for the first time in school history as it won in the Mideast action at Iowa City. Next up for them will be Auburn, a 22-point victory over Vanderbilt. Texas wins